Good afternoon, family. This is our Hunger and Thirst for Righteousness classroom. Lesson 10 is called What Will Truth Do to You? And so today is actually a really good lesson, we'll have some really good understanding from just learning about what Saul had going on with the Ark of God and some things that happened around their battles. We've actually talked about the Ark of God before, the Ark of the Covenant of God. We've talked about this before and what was inside of it. And so we're not going to go too deep into the Ark of God, but just more into what will the presence of these commands of God do to you. What will they do to you for real? And so, as we know, and I'll reiterate this as we go, but within the Ark of God was very, very simple. There was not much in it. Like literally, I believe that in the Kings, book of Kings, it literally says that inside the Ark of Covenant was nothing but the commands of God, the stone tablets given by Moses. And so we have to understand that literally what was inside this Ark of God that was so powerful was nothing but the commands of God. Now we're going to find that also to be true about Jesus Christ. As it says that in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And it says that the Word was made flesh and made his home among us, and he was filled with unfailing love and faithfulness. And so we know that the two commands of God that are the base of the whole law and prophets are to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind, and to love your neighbors yourself. Simply faith and love. The two things that were filling Jesus Christ, who is the Word, was faith and love. The two things that are the base of the whole law and the prophets are faith and love. And so we have to also understand that with this Ark of God and the commands being inside of it, there's only two things that filled it: faith and love. Yet it was so powerful. And so we'll get into that today about the power of this Ark of God, but also what this means for us, and which will beg the question, what will truth do to you? So 1 Samuel 14, 16, 18 says, Now Saul's watchmen in Gibeah of Benjamin looked, and behold, the multitude melted away, and they went there and went here and there. Saul said to the people who were with him, Number now and see who has gone from us. And when they had numbered, behold, Jonathan and his armor bearer were not there. Then Saul said to Ahijah, Bring the Ark of God here, for the Ark of God was at that time with the sons of Israel. While Saul talked to the priest, the commotion in the camp of the Philistines continued and increased. So Saul said to the priest, Withdraw your hand. Then Saul and all the people who were with him rallied and came to the battle, and behold, every man's sword was against his fellow, and there was very great confusion. So let's talk about this. So Saul's in this battle, and one of the key things that happens is that he numbers the people. He sees that Jonathan and his arm bearer are not there. Now, the next thing that is very important that happens, he calls for the Ark of God to come to where they were at. Bring the Ark of God here. And so, like we said, inside this Ark of God was nothing but the commands of God. Like this big golden treasure chest they were carrying around from town to town, city to city alongside of them. But there was nothing inside of it but the commands of God. Now, if you're not educated on the Ark of God or the Ark of Covenant, this Ark of God, you have to understand that wherever this Ark went, there was either great terror or great blessings that ensued about it. Like, and there was no middle line here. Either it brought great blessings to your life, or it brought great terror and great death to your life. Now, what we'll come to understand is this is still true for Jesus Christ in our lives. To tell you the truth, is that everywhere he goes, either it brings great life and great blessings and great abundance, or I'm going to tell you the truth, if your heart ain't right, it brings great death and great distress and great terror to your life. And that's just the truth of who he is and what this truth does to you. And so that's why the name of this lesson is, what will truth do to you? What will it do to you? What will it do to you when you hear the Son of Man's voice and you hear that truth that's supposed to bring you to life? Will you arise to a life of peace and joy and love and faith, or you arise to a life of torment and distress? Which one will it be? What will it do to you for real? And so let's get into this. And I'm going to go into this in this verse 2. He talks about how they go into the camp, and there was a mass confusion amongst these people they were going to fight as this Ark of God was around them. Understand, the Ark of God came, and it said it was increase. There was an increase. Let me go back. It says the commotion in the camp of the Philistines continued and increased. So the thing is that as this Ark of God came, It did not. The Philistines, it brought great confusion, great strife, great commotion, great dispute, greatly more the deeds of the flesh, if we're being honest with each other. It brought more and more death to these people. But then it says, and Saul and all the people who were with him rallied and came to the battle. And behold, every man's sword was against his fellow, and there was very great confusion. So he's really saying that as this Ark of God was there, he said they came into the battle, and the Philistines were fighting each other. They had their swords drawn out at each other. But this is what truth will do in someone's life for real. Like, you have to understand who Jesus Christ really is and what his message really does in this world. And so let's keep going into it because he talks for himself. I don't have to talk that much. Luke 12:49-50 says this. I have come to cast fire upon the earth, and how I wish it were already kindled. But I have a baptism to undergo, and how distressed I am until it is accomplished. And let's keep going real quick. So then he keeps going. Do you suppose that I came to grant peace on earth? I tell you no, but rather division. For from now on, 5 members in one household will be divided, 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. They'll be divided, father against son and son against father, mother against daughter and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law and daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. And so this came straight from the mouth of Jesus Christ. And so we have to understand the reality of what his truth really does in his life and what he came to do. Is that, yes, I'm going to tell you the truth, is that, yes, he did come to give eternal peace and eternal joy to those who abide in his truth and his way in his life. Yes, he did, but it's an inner peace and inner joy. But you understand what his truth has done in the world. His truth has made mass division in the outside world, and that's what he came to do. Like, understand that. He says, do you suppose that I came to grant peace on earth? I tell you no, but rather division. For from now on, 5 members in one household will be divided, 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. They will be divided, father against son and son against father, mother against daughter and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law and daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. And so we have to understand that his truth it creates mass division. But it's not that his truth is influencing people to mass divide. No, it's a reality of, if one person wakes up and another person does not wake up, there's going to be a mass division between that person of light and that person of darkness, that person of life and that person of death. And we have to understand that this is the product of what it means for him to come into your life and to wake you up. And this is what he does. This is literally who he is. And so some of us can be so surprised when you come to the truth and you share it with your family and this truth comes across your life. And you're like, wow, but we're not more joined together from it. Well, I'm telling you the truth. That's what's going to happen. I would think about it like this. What makes a positive? So understand that if there are 2 people who have woken up, that's going to be a place of peace. Okay? Now, if there's a person that's woken up and there's one person that's not woken up, that's going to be a place of mass division. It's a positive and a negative. They can't mix. But now understand this. If there's 2 people of darkness, there's going to be greater unity there than a place of one person woken up and one person not woken up. It's like a battery. Think about that. A plus and a plus, those 2 things can live in peace. A plus and a minus, those 2 things cannot live in peace. A minus and a minus, now there's no real inner peace, but there may be outer peace in the environment, and that's just what it is. But we have to understand that this is what his truth came to do in this world. Before his truth was in this world, there was only negatives. But once his truth comes to the world, now we have people of positives, and we have things that people are negatives. That's going to cause a mass division. A mass division. But this is who he said he's going to be. But we also, as believers, have to trust and believe in what he's saying and who he's saying he is and what he's going to be. Or else you're never going to be able to walk fully in the truth if you cannot accept that this is what his truth does in the world. What will truth do to you? You understand, I'm going to say this, is that it's not the people of light that are dividing from the people of darkness. No, it's the people of darkness that are dividing from the people of light. Because it says this, the wicked run away when no one is chasing them, but the godly are as bold as lions. The godly are not running away from nobody. If you're really moving in truth, in His truth, in His way, in His life, we know that His way is in faith and His love. If you're going to choose love, you're not running away from anybody. You're not the one causing the division. It's the darkness that's causing the division. But it's the reality is that once light dawns, it has to be a separation. And the darkness is, if there's real light, darkness cannot stay around light. And that's just the truth. And so there's going to be a mass division of when there's one person waking up with light inside them and no one else in your household has. Well, I'm sorry, even though you're choosing love and you're choosing faith, you're not running away from them. They are going to run away from you. Because where light is, darkness cannot be. And that's just the truth. Now I'm going to keep going so we can keep talking about this reality of who Jesus really is. Jesus said to them, did you never read in the scriptures, the stone which the builders rejected, this became the chief cornerstone? This came about from the Lord and is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore I say to you, the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to a people producing the fruit of it. And he who falls on this stone will be broken to pieces. But on whoever it falls, it will scatter him like dust. Let's talk about this real quick. Because he's the chief cornerstone. And we know that his cornerstone is built up in faith and love. But it's the reality of that his faith and his love it's not always bringing people to a betterment in their lives. Some people trip and stumble on this stone and it falls on them and it crushes them and it scatters them to dust. This is the truth. Is that not everybody who comes to this truth is built up and given this eternal building of peace and eternal building of joy? That's not true for everybody. Some people come across this truth and it falls on them and it scatters them like dust. It scatters them like dust. And so I'm going to keep asking the question as I go through this lesson. What will truth do to you? What will it do to you? And you have to be honest with yourself about your love of the truth and your love of Jesus Christ and your love of this word. Because how it really ends up scaring people to dust is you're not willing to believe whatever comes out of the mouth of Jesus Christ. So it scatters you like dust because you're fighting against the one word that you cannot fight against in your life. You can fight against many things in your life. Oh, this wrong, that's wrong. But if you think that what Jesus Christ is saying is wrong, it's going to scatter you like dust. Because there's no other hope for your peace in this life. There's no other hope for your joy in this life. There's no other hope for your salvation. And so if you're denying that in your life, it's going to fall on you and scatter you like dust. You will never have that shield of faith in your life. You have no breastplate of righteousness in your life. You're out in the cold and naked and just being left to be devoured by wild beasts. It's going to scatter you like dust. It's going to scatter you like dust. And so we have to understand that, like I said, not everybody who comes into this truth in this way in this life is built up to eternal life. Some people are scattered like dust. And I want you to think about that. If you're in a household and one person is built up to this eternal life and the other person is scattered like dust, it's going to create mass division. Mass division. And it's so funny because we all know that the Lord is not the Lord of confusion, but it's the reality too is that his truth, and it said it made these people, these Philistines come into this confusion, this disputing and they're battling with each other. Understand that God's not the God of that. Now, what his truth does to you, that you have to understand something real quick. That's a product of your heart. It ain't what God did to you. God told the truth. And your heart gave the product of being scattered like dust or being built up in eternal life. But that's up to you and your heart. That ain't got nothing to do with God. It ain't got nothing to do with the messenger that brought it to you. It has everything to do to your heart, what that truth has done to your life and done within you. And so let's keep talking. John 5:25-27 says this, truly, truly, I say to you, an hour is coming and now is, when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, and those who hear will live. For just as the Father has life in himself, even so he gave to the Son also to have life in himself. And he gave him authority to execute judgment because he is the Son of Man. As we have to understand something, read what it says real quick. An hour is coming and now is. That's what Jesus said. This ain't what I said. An hour is coming and now is. Now is. Right now. Right now. An hour is coming and now is. Right now. When the dead will hear the voice. This is right now. When the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God. And those who hear will live. For just as the Father has life in himself, even so he gave to the Son also to have life in himself. And he gave him authority to execute judgment because he is the Son of Man. And so you have to understand something. The hour is coming and now is. And now is. I can't even go off of this. I can't even say much more than what he's saying in the scripture right here. Because he said it perfectly. When the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, if you don't know that every last person's dead, then you ain't in the truth right now. Every last human being is dead. And we going to hear the voice of the Son of God. And those who hear, those who have ears to hear, will live. For just the Father has life in himself, even so he gave to the Son also to have life in himself. And so it's so funny because he also says, when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God. And so understand, he said the dead will hear. We all dead and we all hearing the voice of the Son of God. But he said those who hear will live. So he's also even talking about there's a more exclusive group. Yes, everybody heard it, but did you hear it though? Everybody hears it, but only some will actually hear it though. You actually hear and understand it. You will listen. It actually will resonate within you. Those who hear will live. For just as the Father has life in himself, even so he gave to the Son also to have life in himself. And he gave him authority to execute judgment because he is the Son of Man. And so we have to understand something real quick. It's like I was just saying to you a second ago, is what will truth do to you? What will truth do to you? Because an hour is coming and now is. That hour is coming and now is. Will you hear it and have life? Or will you hear it and remain dead? Which one will it be? Will you really hear it? Will you really understand it? Will you really eat it in your heart? And will you have life? Or will it go in one ear and one out the other? And you'll remain in eternal death state? Which one's it going to be? Like I said, what will truth do to you? A great question to ask yourself as you come across and you journey with God. What has it done to you and what will it do to you is a great question. John 5:20-29 says, do not marvel at this, for an hour is coming in which all who are in the tombs will hear his voice and will come forth. Those who did the good deeds to a resurrection of life, and those who commit the evil deeds to a resurrection of judgment. Now understand real quick. He's saying that let's look at this. Who will hear his voice and will come forth. We talk about his words, the Son of God. It's his voice, his word is what does this. Those who did the good deeds to a resurrection of life. Those who commit the evil deeds to a resurrection of judgment. What will happen to you when you hear his voice and he has brought you up into life? What will happen? Will you be resurrected to a resurrection of life? Or you be resurrected to a resurrection of judgment? Only one of those resurrections is a good resurrection. Which one will be for you? Because like I said, the reality is this truth don't do the same to everybody. Some people are resurrected into life and some are resurrected into judgment. And that's real. And don't nobody want to be judged by God. Who can stand the judgment of God? Not one single individual. And so I'm going to keep going. John 11:24-26 says, Martha said to him, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even if he dies. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this? And so he's trying to tell her, he said, listen, you talking about waiting for a last day. He said, I am the resurrection and the life. I am that. You're waiting for a day of resurrection. I am that day of resurrection. I am the resurrection. I'm the one who brings people up into life. I do that. Right now, I'll do it for you. Do you believe it? Do you believe this? That I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even if he dies. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this? And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this? And I really bring this across your lap because I want you to understand who Jesus is that he is the resurrection and he is the life. He is the resurrection and he is the life. And so I have to ask you this question. When you hear his word that's made to resurrect the inner being of a man, will you be resurrected to a resurrection of life or a resurrection of judgment? Only one of those resurrections is a good resurrection to attain in your life. Which one will it be for you? What will truth do to you? Because the reality is that truth, what it does, actually tell you the truth, is this truth reveals who you've been for real in your life. Who have you really been? And the reality is that all flesh is evil. All flesh is evil. But he did set some of us apart from day one. And some people's hearts have always inclined towards love and light. Even if they've been deceived on what love is, they've been inclining towards love in their life. And so they'll be resurrected to a resurrection of life. But there are some in their heart who have really only been purposed in doing wickedness in their life. And they will arise to a resurrection of judgment. Who are you truly, and what will happen to you when this truth comes across your lap? Who will you be exposed to be? Who will you be exposed to be? And it says, Zephaniah 1:17, I will bring distress on men so they will walk like the blind because they have sinned against the Lord, and their blood be poured out like dust and their flesh like dung. And he said, I will bring distress on men so they will walk like the blind because they have sinned against the Lord. You understand that he literally saying that the product of his judgment right now in your life is that he sends distress on men because they have sinned against the Lord. When he's pronounced you guilty, that's a judgment. I send distress on you. What will you arise to? What will you arise to? A sentence of eternal distress or a sentence of eternal peace? And that's something you got to be honest with yourself. When you came across this truth, what happened to you? What happened to you? And now ask yourself, what will happen to me? But they understand this is that what you do in your heart is a change you can make today. Today you can decide to incline your heart towards love. Today you can decide to incline your heart towards truth. Today you can decide these things. And when he comes across your lap, it will be a resurrection of life. It says so many times in Revelation that he'll come to you and he'll take over you, and he literally talks about coming into and taking over and forcing you to wake up in your life. When he comes to you, what will happen? Will you be resurrected to a resurrection of death or a resurrection of life? What will it be? What will it be? And like I said, who can stand the judgment of God? He literally says, I will bring distress on men because they've sinned against the Lord. Who can stand? Who can stand in 2 feet? Who can stand strong and who can stand sturdy amongst distress? Not one single being in this life. Not one. And so this is the reality of being resurrected to a resurrection of judgment. But let's talk about being resurrected to a resurrection of life. It is the spirit who gives life. The flesh profits nothing. The words that I have spoken to you are a spirit in our life. It is the spirit who gives life. The flesh profits nothing. The words I have spoken to you are spirit in our life. And it's so interesting too, because as he says they'll hear his words and those who in tunes will be resurrected. Well, understand, it is the spirit that gives life. The flesh profits nothing. The words I have spoken to you are spirit in his life. His words are so powerful. His words are God. Literally, in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. The Word was made flesh and made his home among us, and he was filled with unfeigned love and faithfulness. The Word is God. What will happen to you when his word comes to your life and it comes in your heart? What will happen? Just like the Ark of God, it went some places and some people had missed blessings and some people had missed terrors and disaster. Just like with Jesus Christ, he says that some will be scattered like dust on this cornerstone. He said he not come to bring peace, but rather division. He'll turn a mother against a daughter and a father against a son. And I have to ask you this question: what will truth do to you? Will you attain life or you attain judgment? And who can bear the judgment of God? And this is my last slide and we'll be done for the day. My last slide will be done for the day. Galatians 5:22-23, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. As we have to understand that literally this fruit of the Spirit, this fruit that we're speaking of, this is the product of His Word in your heart. It sprouts up in your mind. It sprouts up this fruit of love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and faithfulness and gentleness and self-control. When He comes across your lap and you're resurrected to life, this is what life is. You're resurrected to life, and you're filled with love. You're filled with joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and faithfulness and gentleness and self-control. This is what it looks like. This is what it feels like to be resurrected to a resurrection of life. And so, family, I've had one single question this whole time, and it's simply been this: what will truth do to you? Like I said, with this Ark of God went, it brought either immense terror or immense peace and blessings. Where Jesus Christ went, people were literally telling Jesus to go away from their region. Because I'm trying to tell you the truth, it either brings us eternal peace or eternal torment. But what will truth do to you? And the reality is that it's not even what the truth ain't doing to you, it's your heart. And that's why I say that if your heart's not right, I pray that Jesus Christ waits to bring His words into your life until your heart is actually right. Because you're going to be very, very hurt and tormented coming into His word and your heart's not right. But what will truth do to you? Family, we have to have our hearts in a pure place, especially if we come across the truth in our life and we prepare for His Spirit to come into our hearts. We have to come from a pure heart, have a pure place. And so, hunger and thirst for righteousness, this is lesson 10, the title of what will truth do to you? And ask yourself that question: what will truth do to me? Have a blessed day.